mute myself?
No, no, no. I don't mute anybody. I don't
Okay.
mute. No, and I guess that's the beauty of. I have a radio show, and you were
Mhm.
invited on that as well. Remember?
I
We
remember.
met at. I forget we met at NEBA,
We
and
did.
Dana Brooks introduced you to me, and she said you should come on our show. So
That's right.
we've
I
extended
remember.
it to YouTube because I'm a true crime, and I hope this isn't a crime in this case. But for
Yeah.
all of you who are waiting, thank you so much. I have a local community leader, Pastor Rudy Ferguson, and he lives in Frenchtown area of Tallahassee. And
That is-
it's not far from the universities and Tallahassee Community College. And it's kind of off the main drag, Old Bainbridge Road and Tharp Street is that little quadrant. If you've driven down Tharp Street for any reason, or Old Bainbridge, which is absolutely beautiful, canopied road.
Mhm.
It's actually a lot of these followers were from the Adelson. We started with the Adelson crime, Dan Markel's murder 10 years ago. And Frenchtown is probably, I would say, 4 miles as the eagle flies from Frenchtown. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
far at all.
It's
Tallahassee's
not really.
small.
It is.
It's really small, and it's beautiful because to me, it's like it's the only thing left of Tallahassee that
Mhm.
looks like the South.
Right.
Everything
Okay.
else is kind of like people. I say it kind of looks like downtown Russia because it's just so white and concrete, and there's nothing charming about it. And Frenchtown, when you drive through, it's quite charming.
It is now. We are really grateful that the city and the community and all of the people that live there, really invested back into Frenchtown. So it's not what it used to be, but it's definitely not. What I mean, what it's not used to be. What I mean is more so that back in the '60s and when James Brown and Sam Cooke and all those used to come down to the Redbird. Of course, at that time I wasn't born, but nevertheless, I do hear the history of Frenchtown and to see where we have come from and where we're going now. So I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing.
I'm glad there's revitalization. I want to say revitalization because it was a has vitality all on its own, right?
I agree. Yes, it
So I
does.
don't want to say that word, but the community is a community. Frenchtown community is very loyal, and I really enjoy it. And I'd like to have you just come on our show just to talk about that
I
sometime
would love to. I would
because
love
we
to.
talk real estate on the radio show. So,
We talk
and
real
I know
estate
you're
too.
running for commissioner, and I appreciate that very much. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
anyone
much.
who can stick their neck out in that kind
Woo.
of setting.
Pray for me.
I already do. I already do. So we do have folks on, and just could you briefly introduce yourself and how you come to know Miss Lori Paige?
Well, I am Pastor Rudy Ferguson. I am a seventh generation Ferguson, Chandler, Christie, if you will, all those last names from my grandmother and grandfather generation here in Tallahassee. And fortunate for me, Patty, I had the privilege of growing up in the Griffin Heights neighborhood, which is a part of the Frenchtown community. And I am raised by my grandmother, my grandfather, my mother, and my great grandmother, who used to be a dorm mother at FAMU back in the 40s and 50s and
Oh wow!
60s.
So
So,
Florida, so FAMU, because a lot of people, I mean, they're from all over the world: New
right.
Zealand, Scotland, Florida A&M University, agriculture and mechanical.
That's exactly right. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, and yes, we are. So growing up there, I lived, I lived in the community, still live in the community, and went to Griffin Middle School. And from Griffin Middle School, I went to Amos P. Gabi, and from Gabi, I moved on to do a little bit of TCC. Then I decided to get married at the age of 21. And we're still married today, 32 years later, and we have four grown children. Thank you, Lord. Four grown children. We have about six grandchildren, and so we're
Whoa,
moving forward. Yes, my
you're
wife is
younger than
excited
me.
about it. Yeah,
I
right.
did
And
the
we've got
math.
all these, and they've started moving quickly. So, and I pastor a church, and I pastor a church in the Griffin Heights neighborhood. In fact, the church that I grew up in,
Which
I was an
church is
usher.
that, Rudy?
It's called New Birth Tabernacle of Praise. It was formerly called New Covenant Holy Temple. And when the pastor in that congregation moved to got a bigger facility, I was tasked with going back to Griffin Heights, where I grew up, and to pastor the church there. And I have been fortunate enough to be a part of the community that I grew up in, and the community that I love. And so we're moving forward with a lot of different new things in our community. In fact, we have a brand new store that is coming to our neighborhood. It's the old Bennett store. We tore it down. The city tore it down. We've invested about $1.5 million into it to bring it back to a very nice place. We are a food desert, but we're moving closely to rectifying that problem.
Could you tell people what you mean by food desert real quick?
What I mean by food desert, thank you, Patty. What I mean by food desert is that we have to go quite a few, maybe to Ocala Road to go to Publix, or Lake Ella.
So
Publix
2 or 3 miles out of
out of Griffin Heights. So
what is the average age of this neighborhood?
The average age, I would say anywhere between 27 and about 70, 80 years
I
of
would
age.
think it's higher. I think average, I mean, that's the span, but I do believe it's much higher, which is the challenge when you have a food desert. People don't drive anymore.
Right. And so what we do, we work together to find out who needs food and who needs supplies, and we try to work through that through the Griffin Heights Neighborhood Association. So we know who the elderly are, and we know who the ones who cannot drive and just can't leave the house. So we try to work closely.
And I know
with them.
The second time we met, was a little bit more formally. You were doing a cleanup at a man's house because you were about to get a load of code violations because of all the debris.
Yes.
So I call it debris. Some people, to be polite, to me, it's debris. It's just household stuff that's left outside. And he was about to get, so Rudy, Pastor Ferguson, brings the whole community together, doctors,
there we
lawyers.
go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great. You can't hear me?
No.
You can't? Can you hear me now? You don't hear?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. For some other reason, it just went away. Hold on one second. I think I may have solved it.
Oh, good. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Technology.
I've had definite technology challenges.
I do apologize here, Miss Patty.
No. But we met because you were doing a yard cleanup for a man who was having a hard time parting with some of his belongings.
Okay.
And Pastor Ferguson was kind enough to bring the community together. I mean, we were all loading up our trucks. You back?
Try something else.
I hear you. And everyone can. Oh no, you're fine.
1 2 1 2. I guess there it is.
Good.
So you can hear me, but I just can't hear you.
Okay, well that's a problem. Do you want to come back?
We might have to do sign language. Oh, but they said they can hear both of us.
So why don't you log off and log right back on?
Okay. I read your lips. I did good with that. So I'll do that. Log back and come back in.
Log right back on. Okay. I'll bring him back. But anyway, I met him because I don't know how it was. I guess Living Tallahassee, which is our Facebook group, Scott and mine, and the gentleman was a hoarder. And he came back, and there were probably 25 trucks. The whole street was lined up with trucks and just getting this debris out. They made an agreement with the local Marpan that we could dump the belongings there. The family came out. People brought drinks, food. It was really amazing. And I thought, you know what? We should do that like once a quarter. So I was just kind of explaining. Can you hear me? You don't hear? That is the last thing you want. I have no idea what I would be saying.
Okay. I don't quite know what happened, Miss Patty, but seems like you can hear me, but I can't hear you. That's where we are. So
what kind of system are you using? You can't say it. He'll come back. Oh, he really is. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's coming back on. Now can you hear? Mrs. Oliveira.
Give me 1 second. I think I may be figuring out because my little button here it's got an X on it and it's showing that Jesus.
Can you message me a screenshot of what your screen looks like? I can't tell. I'm gonna.
Jeez. What I'm going to do, Miss Patty, if you can give me about a few minutes, I am going to log all the way off and come back in. We'll get this right. Give me a few minutes.
Yeah, that's probably what happened as his speaker got turned off. Or using StreamYard, his little microphone maybe. I'm messaging him now. You can hear me talking. I don't think I have his phone number. It does work most of the time. Because he didn't touch anything from my vantage point. He didn't touch anything. Margaret, the teacher's going to be on in just a minute. Yes, we do. We do have a higher crime rate. It's really grown. We have a homeless shelter that a very wealthy man who was in technology built. And that, of course, brings a lot of homeless. The adjoining counties, which is Gadsden, Wakulla, where Charlie Adelson is being, Madison, Jefferson, they do not have homeless shelters. So all of the homeless come here. Most of the homeless are mentally ill or drug-addled, and because of that, you have a problem. So I don't know a lot about Lori because they haven't told us a lot about Lori. What I do know is at the time of her missing, it was last June 2023. She was 12 years old, so I'm sure she's older now. I don't know what age, like 13. She should at least be 13. She's going to look older. She's a dark-skinned girl, really cute. Let me get a picture of her. She doesn't deserve this, whatever happened. Police say that police say that they don't feel that there's any foul play suspected, which I think is she was not in a homeless shelter. I was just addressing the crime here. A lot of it is drug related, stabbings, shootings because of drugs. Hey, Laura. This is the Laura that I talk about when I'm saying I have to ask questions for Laura. So Laura says we have to find her. I don't know why her family is not speaking. Her teacher is who reported her missing. And the teacher is going to be on shortly, Laura. So she is a missing runaway juvenile. And I have no idea why no one knows anything. No one knows anything. So I just 12 years old, 5 foot tall, so likely taller. At the time, she was about 120 pounds. She was missing very close to where student housing is. They don't know what she was wearing. We know nothing. The teacher knows, and Pastor Ferguson knows, but we know nothing. She was supposedly, I mean, it says in this missing report, which is nothing. Black hair, brown eyes. No one knows what she was wearing. And she may have had a multicolor backpack. I mean, if I ever go missing, that's going to be my description from my husband, right? That absolutely, he has no idea what I wear. He has no idea what I'm doing. Hi, are you there? Can you hear me, Margie? Margie, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Everyone's having technical difficulty. They're not used to this. Hold on. She gave me her phone number. I'm going to call her. Oh, there she is. Maybe. Can you hear me, Margie?
Almost. Let me see if I can get you on speaker. If not, I might just turn my camera off and talk to you on the phone. Does that work too?
Well, it has to be through the streaming service.
Sorry for my not
I don't need to
techiness
see
at the
your
moment.
face, but we do need to hear your voice, if that's helpful. No, I haven't muted myself, but that's a good call. Can you hear me?
Very faintly, just barely.
Well, turn yourself up because we are up.
Oh, I see where it has the host has unmuted you.
I clicked it off and on. Now can you hear?
No, let me try and join you again and see if maybe it's something about that I've done wrong. I'll be right back.
Because we can hear you clearly. So she's the teacher, and she's locally, they call it a paraprofessional. So she doesn't have, I guess, classroom teaching. She just teaches in the school some other manner. And the teacher is who reported her missing. So we know nothing. We don't know. I don't know what house she lived in. I don't know what her parents' names are. We don't know if she had a boyfriend. We don't know anything. So that's one reason why. But I think Tallahassee Police Department, in its wisdom, coming out and saying they don't think foul play is suspected is really not a genius way to go about things. But that's me. Now, can you hear?
Now you're crystal clear.
Oh, good. Yeah, everyone else can hear me, so that's good. Very good. Well, I had Rudy Ferguson on, and then he lost his sound. So Margie, I gave a brief synopsis about Lori. Can you tell us what happened that you know of?
Well, first of all, I know Lori from school. It's been said many times that I'm a teacher, but I'm actually a paraprofessional. So during her 6th grade year, I would see her in 2 different classes. The first was science, and the second one was civics. And so that's how I got to know her. And those 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, gave me a pretty solid impression of who she was, at least at school. After she went missing, that's when I learned most of the things about her personal life. And I was really surprised to learn most of what I did, because at school, she held it together so perfectly all the time. I think one reason she's special and she stood out is because she was so into her schoolwork. Most 6th graders, you have to cajole them, beg them, remind them how important their grades are, but not her. She was
Right.
always really, really into her schoolwork. So that's how I got to know her. It was beginning in January of her 6th grade year, for that whole semester. Then the first time she ran away was in May, and she came right back. It was so brief that I did not even know she had run away. But one reason I didn't know is because I don't think she ever missed school, even after she ran away.
Wow.
Turns out she ran away, but didn't want to miss school, so she reappeared at school.
Right.
I'm telling you, when this junior hire was into school, I'm not kidding. She came back from running away so she wouldn't miss school. So when she ran away that second time, I have a little bit of compassion for people saying, oh, well, she's done this before. Because they were thinking, I'm sure, that she would come back just as fast.
Right.
But this time she never did come back. And that's when we started to learn more about what led up to her leaving. She ran away June 3rd. Summer school started just shortly, within days of that. And when I saw her missing flyer on the TPD site, my husband, who's in law enforcement, said, don't. I was upset, and he said, "Don't worry, they come back. Has she done this before?" He asked me a lot of the questions, and I was consoled when he told me that she'll probably be back. They usually do. And I came to summer school a day or two later, fully expecting her to be there. She never showed up. And that's when I started to learn, mostly from the kids, a little bit more about Lori's home life being far more troubled than anyone ever would have guessed.
Right.
Where did she live? Where did she live?
Her bus stop was at Ocala and Continental. So she would, one of the neighbors, when we were handing out flyers, said that her and several other kids got off at that stop. And a lot of the other kids would play, chase each other, just run here and there. But she always took a beeline straight from that corner straight to her house. And now that the case is picking up a little steam, I don't want to describe too closely exactly where she lives, because I don't want to open that Pandora's box unnecessarily.
I understand.
But that
lived
intersection,
in the area. She lived in the area that
yeah,
she was
that
reported
intersection.
missing.
There's lots and lots of quadruplexes, duplexes, apartments, all right in that area.
Right.
So that's why when she ran away the first time, there were lots of other kids right there in the area, and they helped her. One of them snuck her into their house. One of them brought her food. So that first time when she was missing a day or two, the kids were able to help her get by.
Where are those children right now? They've not heard anything? No one's covering?
Yeah, all of those children have been interviewed by the police. They all actually knew who they were because the first time she ran away, those children had already been identified as helping her.
And was DCF brought in? Anybody else?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was DCF, Department of Family and Children, brought in?
Any child who has said that they thought they saw her or even who knew her, I know that the original detective was interviewing each and one of those kids. And I remember there was one time that I heard from a kid, hey, I saw her, I talked to her, I called the detective, and within 15 minutes of me calling her, she was at the school. And I was thinking, did she run lights and sirens to get here? She was following up not only with students who said they knew something, but really anyone who would be her friend.
Have you heard from the family?
I know that from the very beginning, the family was in direct contact with the detective. I know for a fact her father, while he may not have trusted anybody else with his business, he did trust the detective and he was in contact with her.
Well, that's good news.
Yes, and he still is.
And is there a mother, an aunt, a grandmother?
You were breaking up a tiny bit. Could you say that again?
Was there a mother, a grandmother, anyone else?
Let me see if I can walk somewhere, because I don't think it's me, but that's twice I didn't quite catch it. I know you were asking about her mother. Her mother does not live in Tallahassee,
Oh, okay.
but I know that they were able to contact her and interview her and all that sort of stuff.
Pastor Ferguson, are you there? You muted yourself, so I'll wait till he comes back. Wow. So what? Okay. So I've never met you. There you go, Pastor Ferguson.
I am
Can
still
you
here.
hear now? You're back.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
I
yes.
wanted to bring you into the conversation. I've never had three people at the same time, so two people.
That's okay.
Plus me. So Pastor Ferguson, what do you know about where Lori could be, where she was, the day she went missing?
Well, when Miss Margaret came to me about it, as one of the pastors in the community, her and I had a long conversation, and she expressed her deep concern and brought it to my attention that one of our youth were missing in the community. And when she brought it to my attention, we immediately began to bring everyone to the table. We brought the media. The first thing we did was do a news conference or a news conversation or interview rather, just to bring some more attention to the matter. And we did this, I think, about two times. We did one, and then we did the second one at the church to just bring more awareness to it. And with along with Miss Margaret, we kept looking, we kept getting some mixed information, and then the father, to be very pragmatic, the father just seemed like he was somewhat distant from the whole situation a little bit, and we didn't want to press the issue too much without without his consent. But we did talk to him, and we did talk to people in the community. And of course, we got a variety of different stories uh, that she may be here, that she may be with her mom, moved back, but we could never pinpoint or really have a solid answer in regards to her situation. And it really bothered us. And so we kept looking, we put it out. We had the information as far as her description, the very thing you just showed a few minutes ago. We had that from the police department. We put that on social media. We kept pushing it out until, somebody said something, and to the point where it just seemed like it went cold. And of course, we would put it out there on a variety of times just to see if anybody would had heard from her, had seen her, is there any resolution to the matter? But we were somewhat, Margaret and I, we were in the dark as far as laying down a positive pinpoint, a place where where a young lady could be, and it really still bothered me until a couple of days ago. We had it was reposted again through the Tallahassee Police Department, and quite a few people began to chime in looking for her. In fact, they were tagging me on Facebook because they knew that I was a part of it, along with Miss Margaret in the beginning, searching for her. So this is huge because we do.
Look what just came up. It literally, because I have her on I do a lot of Google alerts. So I'll set a Google alert up for a name. So if there's something in the news that I'm searching for, it comes right to my email. So this just came up that I saw 4 hours ago. They reposted it through at the FBI.
And that's important because it's been 7 months now. And that's a long time from the time Miss Margaret and I we really started back in June. We really started this, and now we are in February of 2024, and still no sight, no word, and it really does bother me because we do deal with human trafficking in this city and in this state. We do have individuals who are into child abuse and child molestation, so we have to be really paying attention to one of our children in our city, in our community, has gone missing without a trace. That is never a good thing. That's not a good sight. That's not something
When
that we go to sleep on. Yes, ma'am.
when Pastor Rudy says we heard stories, this story or that story, maybe she went with her mom, maybe this, it wasn't so much they were telling stories of what they knew or what they saw. It was more just people trying to figure out what the scenario might be. So it might be that they said, well, maybe since her mom had come to town when she went missing, maybe she left with her mom. Another person's like, no, she wouldn't have gone with her mom. She probably was mad at her dad, ran away from her dad. Well, maybe her grandmother thinks that she'd be better off with her. Maybe she's hiding with her grandma. So there was all this speculation. Could she be with the father, the mother, the grandmother, or did she just outright completely just run away and fall into the wrong hands, maybe of traffickers? All of those scenarios have been spitballed by
She
just about
could have
everyone.
fallen and hit her head. I mean, it could be as simple as that. Have there been actual physical searches like we show on TV, lineups and searching the area? I mean, she could have literally fallen and hit her head.
Could be as simple as that. And I know early on when I was with some of the other teachers, especially during summer school, especially her homeroom teacher, her math teacher, they all were saying, hey, let's do a search. Let's see if we can search. And so we contacted TPD to see, like, hey, we want to search. We want to go somewhere. And the thing they said that they really couldn't give us any clues where to even begin to do a search, and our efforts.
There's a large wooded area right around Continental and Ocala. I mean, you start where you see it,
Right.
and you don't wait 8 months. You don't wait 9 months.
We were told that actually that flyers is not how people do it anymore, that it's all about social media. So just to share it on social media, every flyer that was handed out, we printed with our own money. I mean, flyers are apparently just not the way it's done anymore. So,
well, okay, that's like Charlie Adelson's extortion. How you never know, and that area, like Pastor Ferguson and I were discussing before you came on, Margie, there's a lot of older people who live in that area that don't have smartphones and cell phones, but they're nosy.
That's right.
They know who's driving up and down their road. Trust me, I'm a white girl in a blue truck, and I'm an appraiser, and I drive up and down the roads, and they're looking at me. I got crazy hair. So don't tell me they don't notice you.
When we handed out flyers, we just kind of went around to the neighbors and to some of those little houses in the area, and then at that time we were thinking of her still. Well, she probably ran away. So if she's staying with somebody or somebody's harboring her, they might let her leave for just a little bit to go to the convenience store. So we started posting in
Right.
the convenience stores. Then we started putting up her flyer all along Monroe Street, right where it intersects with 4th. So around 4th and Monroe, we started posting flyers there, and Guthrie's in case she got some chicken. I mean, we were just, most of the corporate places won't let you. So we tried to post something at Walmart, weren't allowed. Target, weren't allowed.
Really?
Well, yeah, if there's corporate policies about that, which I learned. And but all of the cashiers were like, I can't let you post it, but if you'll give me one, I'll keep an eye out for her and I'll show it to my other coworkers and we can look for her.
That's fair.
And also what we also discovered too, Patty, is that we would hear, and I'm glad Miss Margie said it, because we would hear rumors more so that she may be here, she may be
I
there.
did too.
And we would go to those places, and I would call, and then when we get there, oh no, she's not here, or we don't know what you're talking about. We ran into those a few times, and of course, our technology is nothing compared to law enforcement, what they have, and cameras, and so we were pushing the envelope to find out where this young lady, this young girl, in fact, young child, may be. And so I believe now that attention, Miss Patty, you have brought to it, and a few others have brought to the matter, we, have reinvigorated the search, and more people are more in tune. I just pray, and I'm being very optimistic when I say this. I pray that she's unharmed, that she's somewhere safe,
Oh, I do too.
and,
I mean,
and that she.
the policy on Living Tallahassee will now change, because when this came out in June, or it must have come out May 1st, and then they found her in June, and then it was a new poster, and people like, well, they found her. So then I think it kind of got, well, they found her, so it wasn't real, right?
Right.
I honestly didn't know she was still missing.
Yeah. So she was missing. I'm so sorry. We are having our track practice in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's fine.
No, it's okay. So she went missing very, very briefly in May. When she returned to school, they updated the flyer to say she's been found. Well, then fast forward just a couple of weeks or a month or so, and then she ran away that second time. And this time she was never found. But people who searched her name, a lot of them found that first poster where she was found. Right. And we're like, oh, well, they found her. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of confusion that we were trying to clarify for people that no, they found her once, but this is a whole different incident.
Yeah, my new policy, and I'm the one who makes the rules on Living Tallahassee, is I will call the police before I remove a post. Because I feel horrible right now for listening to people who really didn't know.
Right. I tried to unconfuse it as much as possible, but on social media, it's really hard to be very clear.
Well, you're not family. You're not family, right? Family's not stepping up. There's another young boy who went missing this morning, and it's Rhonda Siplin, Siplin.
Yes, I saw it.
Her grandson, and Rhonda has been posting in our group. She cleans homes since the very beginning. And so the family is outwardly looking for this grandson, which I have to look his first name up because I don't remember it because I'm old.
I just saw it. I was thinking about that.
Like, but the family is outwardly pushing for this, right? And in this case, the family isn't asking or pushing or showing up. And that's why I think you're not family.
Right. I know.
And it's really hard for people to understand why. And they're asking, and on Living Tallahassee, they're asking. Mm-hmm. Let me show you this boy. So on Living Tallahassee, they're asking and getting shut down. Like, how dare you even ask where the family is? I'm like, how dare you even, what? I mean, people are going to want to know the scenario. That's 100% what's going to want to happen.
The night before she went missing, there was. Keith. Oh, I see him.
So now that's the thing. Unless I hear from family or the police, I'm not removing it anymore.
That makes sense. And I hope all parents have a talk with their kid and just let them know that if you feel like you have to run away, take your phone with you. I mean,
Which
you can tell them
does
not to run
mom
away.
in? Did she have a phone? First of all, did she have one?
My understanding, although I never personally saw her with a phone, most of these kids, you can hardly pry the phone from their hands. But I never saw her carrying a phone.
Is she 13 now? Or will
No,
she be?
no, she had just turned 12 when this happened. Her
Okay.
birthday was in April,
Okay.
so she's still 12.
What
Um,
city is her mother in, or what state?
um, I I don't want to speak about her mother because her mother's so adamant that she has nothing to say to the media.
Right.
And what rapport, what little relationship I have with her, I'm
Right,
just
because you're
not
not
prepared to
family.
sacrifice it.
I understand. I appreciate that. I won't. I
Yeah.
won't. But I'm gonna ask because I'm gonna ask.
Of course, you have
Um,
to ask, and I
you
hope
gotta
people
ask.
are like they're
So to
probably
reiterate, because people are just coming on, we're talking about Lori Paige, Lori Paige, Pastor Ferguson and Margie Summers, who's a paraprofessional at Griffin Middle School, have the one really been leading the search. Does she have siblings? No siblings. Okay.
she's definitely the only child of her mother. I believe she may be her father's only child as well, but I'm not as certain about that.
This is incredible. Don't you think this is incredible?
It is. It's
This
more of a,
is
it's a situation that puts us all in a precarious situation trying to understand why a 12-year-old has not resurfaced, and why she's not safe. Why is she, why did she run away? It's a lot of questions that goes along with this young lady who ran away twice, and the second time is almost pretty much for the last 7 months vanished. This is
Did
this is
the
this is
father, and you don't have to answer, did the father know that she was even away the first time?
yes, he's the one who reported her missing the
Okay.
first time and the second time, and he reported it very, very promptly.
Okay.
Um,
Because the rumor is, which I love to correct, that you, Margie, were the person that reported her missing.
no, not at all. He reported it the first time I knew about it is when I was scrolling through TPD's um, Facebook page and I saw her flyer and I was so shocked and I believe I shared it to my page and said, this is the last student I ever would have thought would be missing.
It's almost sad that they have like missing, runaway, and then
I
say no foul play is suspected because we don't know,
I
right?
took
We just don't know.
I took immediate umbrage with that wording.
I do too,
Um,
but
Now, if they're 17 or maybe even 16, and of course people will argue this, but maybe there's some allowance for age where you're saying no foul play suspected, as in they weren't snatched from the playground. But I think when a kid is not even a teenager, just barely turned 12, I think at that moment you go ahead and lose the words no foul play suspected because, and certainly after 30 days, put it out there because after 30 days of her missing, there's foul play. Whoever's
she
harboring
cannot
her
support
is
herself.
foul.
She
Mhm.
cannot feed herself. She can't drive a car. She can't do anything. She's either with an adult
Hmm.
who has no business being with this child, whether it's the mother or not. Because if the mother's doing it and letting all these people suffer for whatever reason, that isn't, not a good thing.
Right.
But she's with, so you don't know if she was on social media. You don't know if there was an older boyfriend, like a 35-year-old pedophile. You don't know any of that.
We don't, but
Yeah, there's no access to money.
yeah, I do. Now, the kids are at Griffin Middle School are very tech savvy. It's a technology school. Every single kid at this school is issued a Chromebook. And yeah, I just was reading someone's comment. Um, yeah, so these kids are very tech savvy. I do believe she had access to a computer at home. So the police are saying with some confidence she doesn't have a digital footprint, but I think she has no obvious digital footprint. In other words, her name is not her handle.
Right.
They haven't found a digital footprint, but that's
Doesn't
not to
mean
say
anything.
that's not to say it's impossible. She's just as tech savvy as the rest of these kids, and they're very tech savvy.
I know.
I think that also, in order to keep this, and again, Miss Patty and Miss Margie, I think it's important that now that we've brought more attention to this matter, I think we should really touch bases with the local, again, with Tallahassee Police Department, involve the Sheriff Department, because this is not just a city search now. This is a county-wide search.
Well, it's a
But-
Florida search. I mean,
Well-
where's the rest of it? FDLE. I mean,
There's
We need
always
billboards.
going to be a lead agency.
okay.
And what's interesting is my husband retired from Tallahassee Police Department, but he now works for Sheriff McNeil. So I had a lot of the same questions, like why can't her missing poster be on both Facebook pages and so on and so forth. I learned a lot about when you have a lead agency on the case, it's their case. If they request support from another agency, there may be a memorandum of understanding where they can get additional resources. For instance, maybe they would want additional help and they would request Tallahassee's dive team
I
or
see what
something
you're
of
saying.
that nature.
They have to ask.
But they are not going to have two agencies with overlapping jurisdictions working the same case at the same time. It convolutes the witnesses. It frustrates people who've been interviewed already once. Now they were interviewing twice, now 3 times. You're always going to have a lead agency, but they can request support.
So someone's asking where the parents, well, the father is social media shy, but he has reported her missing. He reported her missing 2 times.
I
He is
would
in
correct.
contact with law enforcement. He does speak to the detective, so he's not like, I'm not going to talk. He's not like this poor child Montgomery, right? Haley Montgomery. It's nothing.
No,
like
no.
that.
And I want to correct you on one thing.
Sure.
He's not just social media shy. He's shy. He's very private, very personal. This is probably torturous for him on 2 levels. First, that his daughter's missing, and twice because he is very personal and he feels so invaded. I'm sure some of your viewers are like, why is she defending the parents? It's not so much I'm defending them, but I'm kind of trying to show you what they've shared with me, where the mother's not trusting of the media, and the father, on the other hand, is just a very shy person.
And that makes sense. I mean, we're not, look, this whole thing with me, my face on the screen has taken 21 years. So it's not easy when you're shy. Life is not easy to be shy. And people don't understand. So I give you that. And so I think it's going to make the community feel better if they see this, that he is the one who reported her missing 2 times.
He's been any contact I've had with a detective, they've always made a point to say that he's been very cooperative. Anything that they have asked for, he's done it. Now, did he come up with extra things for them to do? Does he call them every day or every week? I don't know that part.
Because we will never.
But I do know, well, like some fathers will be like, I've been beating down their door. But what I can say is that, and Nancy Grace is going to say this on her show tomorrow, that there is nothing that's steering anyone in the direction really of either parent.
Okay, good. But what about a search? Like, what about, like we've said on this little channel, these little people, I mean, I don't mean little people, but we're all just a little group. What about that? What about going out with a chalk line and walking the woods and finding if she left something, a piece of hair? She had dreads. You just don't know. You don't know because no one's looked.
Right.
And I mean, it's like you said, she could have been, I know for a fact that just days before she went missing, she'd received back a test result that had her very sad, very feeling like I'm so dumb. I'm going to have to go to some kind of intensive course. And I almost had to like say, hey, Lori, it's okay. We help kids all the time if they struggle with a certain subject. That's not a big deal. But she was
Margie,
so,
what were her hobbies? Do you know her hobbies? Do you know what she liked?
I know
Do you
she
know her
went,
favorite color even?
she, a lot of these girls I could tell you because they have a certain color braid in their hair or they have lip gloss. And she was jeans, t-shirt, tennis shoes, backpack. That's it. I never saw anything fancy in her hair. I never saw her do any kind of makeup. I would be surprised to find out that pink or purple were even her favorite color. She was almost
Is that because they
tomboy.
didn't have any money, do you think? Or
N-
you don't know who did
No,
her hair? No one's come up and said, I did her hair last?
no, she had dreads. So I think she kind of maintained them herself. They look maintained, but she didn't have any beads in them. She didn't have anything braided into them. Just very almost tomboyish is the best way I can describe her.
Was she participating in sports of any kind?
She went straight home on that school bus every day.
Hmm.
And that's what she did. And as far as hobbies, she was so intense about her work. She, I don't know if she had any, to be honest. I will
Did she
say
have a
that
best friend? Did she have a locker? I don't think they have lockers anymore.
no, they just
My
have
age.
backpacks.
No best
Um,
friends? No girls that she hung out with at lunch?
there have been a couple girls who they said, yeah, we were her friends, or they've said, well, she was friends with this one or friends with that one. But there's other girls here. I can tell you exactly who their bestie is. I would not say Lori had a bestie per se.
So that's worrying. That's worrisome.
She kind of just moved through. She kind of got along with everyone. But I don't ever remember anyone getting onto her for laughing or playing during class with anyone. She was very focused.
I'm honestly serious. Should we walk around the woods there? I'm not kidding.
I've asked the police every time I contacted them, I was like,
I
hey,
don't want to say this out loud, but if she were to some reason, I'm going to start crying right now because just how you're saying it. If she were to have some reason harmed herself,
my mind has gone there.
then
She was so perfectionistic. I'm thinking to myself, Lori, were you that hard on yourself?
no, and it didn't even occur to me till you said like semi-lonerish, upset about her test. I think someone, all of us, the adults in the room, TPD, whatever issues they have, I don't even care about anymore. We all need to like put our little rubber boots on and go out and look for her in the woods.
I agree.
And if
100%.
there's
So I think
Patty, whatever you guys can tee up, I can guarantee you there will be teachers, probably a cafeteria lady or two, maybe a custodian or two.
so.
They
Pastor
will,
Ferguson, what do you want to do? Do
I
you
would
want
love
to
to
put
do
it
that.
out there? Do you want to put it
But
on Saturday morning?
yes, I would love to bring all the pastors and their congregations. And that was my role, to bring more attention with Miss Margaret, to get the
yes,
pastors and the churches more involved, in particular the black churches, in the community who may have someone in their church that may know her, or a relative in the church, and we
I
still turned up with nothing. And so I think this is a good opportunity, another moment for us to reinvigorate this thing, and find this young lady and pray for the best. I also believe we need to get a billboard. If we can't get, but one
yes.
I will
major
talk
billboard.
to, I forget the billboard company. Don't tell them I said that. But I will speak to them tomorrow. But we need to get a search going.
I agree.
All
I
right.
agree.
So I'll call the billboard company tomorrow and I'll try to guilt somebody. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Right. Well,
I don't ask for free stuff often, but I'm going to do it. And
And
then if
this is
we
a
need
rare
search,
case.
huh?
It's not like this is you're going to do it every week or so. This is truly an unusual case. A 12-year-old, no leads, 8 months.
Mhm.
think that we have another scenario out there quite like this. It is truly an anomaly.
I've never heard of anything like this, but I'm really concerned because I call it mentation, her emotional, like maybe flatness, and then the bad grade, and then she didn't really hang out with people, but people were willing to help her when she needed it.
And she had an upsetting,
she didn't even go to them. Maybe.
She had, this is going to come out on Nancy Grace tomorrow anyway, but she had an upsetting incident just hours before she went missing. She was upset. And there was chaos in her personal life. There was chaos in her family. And to think that she was overwhelmed at the moment that she disappeared, I believe would be 100% factual.
So I have to go. Unfortunately, I have to wrap this up. And Rudy, can you message me your phone number? Because I don't have it. I only have your Facebook email, your email on your Facebook Messenger.
That's not a problem.
I will call the billboard people in the morning because it's already after 5. And then I will go to WCTV because they're already in Living Tallahassee. We need to start a search early Saturday morning. If 20 people show up or 5 people show up, it's more than ever has showed up.
Right. There'll be at least 3.
We need to bring our glasses, gloves, little, I don't know what people use to do this, but literally line up like they do on TV. And we need to just march in a line and look all around Continental and Ocala.
I agree.
That's the first step. And I don't think we need to ask permission for that.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Oh.
We're citizens and responsible adults in this city. And I will also say to Miss Pat, Miss Patty, that tonight I'll be speaking at the Safe Families for Children's event. And I will make mention during my speech about Lori Paige and the importance of our children. And we'll continue to do what's necessary to safeguard all of our kids. That's so important. So whatever you need me to do, Miss Margie, I'm always here. Whatever you need me to do, Miss Patty,
are you guys available Saturday morning as I just booked you for a search? I mean,
I'm there.
Okay. So I don't know where the bus stop is, but I think we should just line up, cut up in some groups, however many show up, and wear long pants because ticks and, critters. And we'll just start. Just like we did at the gentleman's home.
Right. Just like that.
Just like that. Grassroots.
That's
grassroots. And then we just rule it out. We rule it out. But right now I'm sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Just 12. If more people are sick to their stomach, they're going to act. And so I'm going to put it right on Living Tallahassee. What time do you want to start? 8?
Whatever time you say.
That's good.
8 a.m. And we'll just work till we can't.
Right. And so, I'll text you everything you need.
I'm going to work the GIS side of it. I'm going to do a map and some quadrants. If you can get me the exact location of where the bus stop was, I'm going to praise her. So I can get the GIS map and try to line it up where, I don't know, I'm just going to look.
Sounds like a plan.
And if your husband could, on the down low, Miss Margie, give us some guidance to weigh that,
Yeah. How it works.
We mind our own business, but I'm not minding my own business today.
He's been helping me ever since day one in the background, encouraging me, and this is disturbing to him too, because runaways come back. Mm-hmm. And this one time in a million, she didn't come back.
Right.
And it hurts me too.
It may be just something none of us want to talk about right now.
Right. So, Patty, thank you so very much.
And I'll get to work tomorrow morning. I have all the time in the world. And I will see you all Saturday morning with long sleeves and long pants and boots.
All right. See you there, Patty.
Bye,
Pastor Rudy.
Bye, Miss Margaret.
So much.
Bye.
Thank you. So that's it. I'm going to go on my first search looking for this poor child, Lori Paige. I have an appointment at 6 I have to get to, but thank you all for watching. And please and I don't ask for sharing much. It's just hard for me to have listened to that, knowing, we've all had our own children. But But please like and share this video, if nothing else. And if you are local to Tallahassee, definitely like and share. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you very much.